They told us Miss Cora died in the fire. But last Friday, I saw her standing at the end of the hallway, still holding her attendance book. I never liked substitute teaching, especially not in old half-abandoned schools. But rent was due, and this assignment at St. Bartholomew's Preparatory, a private school tucked into the foggy hills, was paying more than usual. I should have known something was off from the start. The drive there was long and unsettling. The school building rose from the mist like a mausoleum, tall, crumbling brick walls, shattered windows patched with duct tape, and vines that wrapped around the structure like veins. The security guard at the gate barely made eye contact as he let me in. "Room 13, he muttered. "Second floor. Just follow the sound." Follow the sound. I dismissed it as weird local lingo. But as I climbed the staircase, I did hear something faint humming, a melody like a lullaby, drifting through the empty halls. I turned corners, unsure if I was even going the right way, until I found room 13. The door creaked open before I could even touch the knob. Inside, the room was wrong. The lights flickered despite it being morning. Desks were scattered unevenly, and in the back corner sat a small wooden chair facing the wall. It looked like a punishment seat, but something about it made the hair on my arms rise. On the blackboard, written in old smeared chalk, were the words, "She watches still." I assumed it was some prank, kids being edgy, maybe even a leftover Halloween decoration. I erased the chalk, set down my bag, and prepared for the day. But no students came. The school was dead silent. I checked the schedule. It was Friday. I was in the right room. So where was everyone? At 10:17 a.m., the classroom door slammed shut. Startled, I rushed over. Locked. I jiggled the handle. Nothing. That's when I heard a whisper from behind me. "Present." Miss, I turned sharply. No one was there. The classroom was empty, but the chair in the corner was now turned toward me. A child-sized handprint smudged the dusty desk nearest to me. Then the blackboard started writing by itself. Letters scraped slowly into the surface, invisible chalk scratching out one word at a time. "Class begins now." I backed away, heart pounding, fumbling for my phone. No service, no signal. Just static when I tried to record. Then I heard it again, humming, but this time closer, louder. I turned toward the hallway window. There, beyond the glass, was a tall, gaunt woman in a soot-stained dress. Her veil was half-burnt, her skin pale and cracked like old porcelain. She held a book, a leather-bound attendance register. She looked up right at me. I stepped back. She didn't move, just stared. Then the bell rang, but it didn't sound like a normal school bell. It was distorted, almost wet, like metal grinding underwater. I tried the door again. It swung open, easily this time, like it was never locked. I bolted out and ran down the hall. The humming followed, echoed. It was coming from everywhere and nowhere. I ran until I saw someone, another teacher or maybe the janitor. I grabbed him, panting, and asked, "Who is she?" "That woman in the veil." His face went pale. "Miss Cora," I nodded. He whispered, "She died in the East Wing fire. Took her entire class with her, locked the door and refused to leave. Said it was her duty to finish attendance." I looked toward the east hallway, now boarded up and scorched. A faint orange glow pulsed beneath the crack in the door, like flames still lived behind it. I didn't go back inside. I quit that day. But last night I found something under my bed. A scorched rollbook inside. My name was written in red ink. Marked present. Class never dismissed. The prompt was mirrors. So of course I thought of the classics. You know, Bloody Mary, White Walker, Evil Twin. But what if we flipped the script on that tired old trope? What if the mirror wasn't the setting of the horror, but rather the cause? Our protagonist has never spoken about what happened in August of 2018, not to anyone, not even his closest friends. But as the nights grow longer again, and that same heavy air returns, he can't help but feel like it's waiting for him to remember. It started with a road trip. 4 of them, me, my girlfriend Leela, her cousin Dev, and my best friend Ray, decided to take a weekend trip to a quiet cabin near the woods in Hum. It was supposed to be a peaceful escape from the city. No signal, no internet, just pine trees, bonfires, and stars. The first 2 days were normal, peaceful. On the 3rd day, August 14th, he wakes up to something strange. All the mirrors in the cabin are covered with white bedsheets. At first he assumes it was a prank, but no one owned up to it. And the weird part, no one remembered seeing any mirrors in the house before. It was like they appeared overnight, old Victorian-style mirrors, dusty, cracked, covered, like someone didn't want them to reflect something. There's a great story about mirrors by Neil Gaiman where the main character lives in a house with unbreakable mirrors, and he learns that the reason why is because each mirror holds the soul of the person who died in that house. If that's what these mirrors did, well then maybe it would explain why they only showed him and the others terrifying things. The fact that they could see their friends in peril, even death, mirrored back at them. It implies that they might actually be reliving it, or perhaps they were in danger even now. That night, Lila tells him she saw someone watching her through the mirror in their bedroom. She says it wasn't her reflection, that it blinked out of sync, then smiled. He tries to brush it off. Maybe it was just her mind playing tricks, but deep down they were all uneasy. The next morning, Ray is gone. No note, no footsteps, his bed untouched. They searched the entire forest, screamed his name for hours, no trace. When they got back inside, all the sheets had fallen off the mirrors and every single mirror showed them something different. In one, he saw Dev curled in a fetal position in the woods crying. In another, Lila's reflection was banging on the inside of the glass like she was trapped. And in his, he wasn't even there. The room was empty, but the door behind him creaked open on its own. They ran, no luggage, no phones, just bolted for the car and drove without stopping for 5 straight hours. So at this point, the story has taken on an almost Lovecraftian tone. The idea that the cabin itself, the mirrors, whatever was behind them was driving them insane. They abandoned the car and fled, yet somehow the mirrors followed them. Perhaps they are cursed, perhaps they are haunted, or perhaps something more sinister is at work. Ray was never found. Dev refuses to talk about it. He's changed, nervous, jittery, avoids his own reflection. Lila went silent a month later and had to be admitted to a private psychiatric facility. She won't even let mirrors in her room, and he hasn't looked in a mirror for more than a few seconds since that August. But here's the part he's never told anyone. Last night he found one of those same cracked mirrors leaning against his new apartment door. There was a note taped to the glass. It said, "You left us behind." And that's the end of the story. What do you think? I think it is amazing how a simple change of perspective can make a familiar trope feel fresh and terrifying. Now tell me your thoughts, and if you dare stay for another terrifying tale. Hello, I'm here. I don't know if you've ever experienced something like this, but there was a time in my life where every single night I would wake up to a scratching sound. It always started at exactly 3 a.m. and it would happen for about 3 minutes. Then it would stop, and then when the sun came up, I would get up and search the whole apartment to try to find the source of the noise, but I could never find anything. I don't know how long this went on for, but eventually I just gave up and I tried to fall back asleep. But sometimes I would wake up again in the middle of the night to that scratching sound, and it just kept happening night after night. I never found out what it was. I hope it wasn't rats. Welcome to the No Sleep Podcast. This is an audio drama series based off of Reddit's No Sleep subreddit. Every episode is a creepypasta presented as if it were actually true. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, then be sure to subscribe to our channel. Also, if you enjoy our hard work and want us to keep making these videos, please leave a like and comment down below. We really appreciate it. Our Patreon supporters also get access to ad-free versions of every episode, as well as bonus content and their names at the end of each episode. So if you want to support us even further, check out our Patreon. It's August and I'm in a hotel room by myself on a business trip. It's late and I'm exhausted, so I go straight to bed. Around midnight I hear some noises coming from outside the window. Sounds like someone's having a good time, so I ignore it and fall back asleep. About 2 hours later though, I'm awoken again to what can only be described as screams in the forest. Big guttural screams. Again, I just assume it's some rowdy college kids being idiots and decide to ignore it. Maybe a few minutes pass and I hear a blood-curdling scream right outside my window. I sit up in bed and listen intently. All I can hear is the wind in the trees. I shrug it off as the wind and lie back down. 5 minutes pass and I hear another loud scream, followed immediately by heavy footsteps near my room. I freeze and start listening for more noise. I hear what sounds like dragging footsteps moving slowly down the hallway towards my room. My heart starts pounding in my chest and I grab my phone and turn on the screen. The footsteps stop right outside my room and I can hear what sounds like heavy breathing. The door handle starts turning and I dive under the covers, burying my head in my pillow. The door opens slowly and the light turns on, revealing a dark, empty room. I continue to sit under the covers until my heart stops racing and I calm down. When I finally get up, I notice that all of the lights in the hotel room are turned off except for the bedside lamp. I walk over and turn on the overhead light to reveal a horrifying sight. All of the furniture in the room has been overturned, and my bags are ripped open and strewn about the room. There are also strange symbols drawn in permanent marker on the walls and floor. I quickly take out my phone and call the front desk, but they tell me that no one called the police last night and no other guests reported any disturbances. They also claim that my room was clean when the maid finished servicing it around midnight. I quickly change into dry clothes and grab my stuff from the floor. I notice that my journal is missing. I must have left it in the lobby from earlier today, so I go back down to look for it. On the way out, I pass by the same hallway that the footsteps had come from, and I see that the carpet is slightly damaged, exposing the wooden floor underneath. I look down at my feet and realize that my socks are now missing, leaving my feet bare. I feel a sudden jolt of pain in my lower back, and when I turn around, I see nothing. I hurry down the stairs and into the lobby. As I approach the front desk, I notice a man sitting in a chair reading a book. He looks up at me and smiles, but his teeth are completely black. I stumble back in shock, knocking over a chair in the process. The man slowly stands up and walks toward me, still smiling. I turn and run, blindly sprinting for the exit. As I burst through the doors, I hear the man's raspy voice behind me saying, "Don't you recognize me? I've been waiting for you." I jump into my car and slam the door shut. I quickly start the engine and pull out of my parking spot. As I drive away, I look back at the hotel. Standing directly in front of it is the same man from the lobby, still smiling and waving at me. His face seems to warp and twist, taking on a demonic appearance. I hit the gas pedal and speed away, occasionally glancing back to see if he's following me. Several hours later, I finally arrive home and sprint up to my front door. When I open the door, I'm relieved to see that everything is normal. Then I notice a pile of dirt on the floor. I shake it off and go to my bedroom. When I get into bed, I notice a scratch on my arm that wasn't there before. I look at it more closely and realize that it's a bite mark. I jump out of bed and run to the bathroom to stare at my reflection in the mirror. Staring back at me is a pale, frightened face with bloodshot eyes and a wide-open mouth that reveals teeth, sharp teeth. I scream. That's the end of episode 325, Disturbed at Hotel. If you liked this story, then check out our other content where we read and adapt creepypastas from the internet. We've got tons of content for you to binge. Also, if you want to hear more stories like this, then stay tuned for new episodes. If this story gave you chills, hit like, share it with a brave friend, and subscribe because the darkness has more tales to tell.